propose that we open so
Yes,
that we have
I have started.
Dobro jutro, Bojana.
We cannot hear you well, Bojana. Can you try to speak again?
Uh, yeah, can you hear me?
Now,
Now
yes,
it's
now
okay.
perfect.
Now it's okay. Okay, good morning, dear colleagues, dear friends. We are still waiting for some people to join because we received quite some interest, quite some participants who registered. It might be still early on a Friday morning, but nonetheless, we have also a nice, well-filled, and even a busy agenda. So propose that we just wait for a couple more minutes, but not too long, and then we kick off with the program and with the agenda. Just bear with us for a couple of minutes. I would say 2 more minutes, so 5 minutes past 10. That's a reasonable time to then kick off. Good. I think it's a good moment to formally and officially start. So once more, a lovely good morning, dear colleagues, dear friends. Great to have you online on this, at least in Brussels, sunny Friday morning. Hope for the same in all your places. For colleagues not knowing me, my name is Nick, Nick Thijs. I'm Senior Advisor at the OECD Sigma program, leading our small team in Sigma on service delivery and digital government. And today, together with my colleague Jose Diaz, we are hosting this webinar. Allow me just to briefly share my screen for the very short intro. I will not take it too long, but just want to give a bit of insights in where we are, what we are doing today, and also to link it with some of the future other things. So, well, this and today's webinar, Digital Government in the Western Balkans, is part of, well, a standalone, of course, but also part of a series of webinars that we are planning between now and until summer, early July. The next one will be happening in 2 weeks, which will be focused on understanding and improving citizen satisfaction. So everything related to measuring satisfaction, but also drivers of user satisfaction. With public administration will be at the focus of our next one. We are nearly ready and having the full agenda up to speed so that we will then also communicate. So follow us on the usual channels or directly reach out to us, and then we're happy to provide you with more information. The third one will be focused on behavioral insights, everything related to the nudging, to sludges. We also there have the agenda nearly ready, so that will also be communicated, and you will receive this also very soon. So all of them, again, are standalone ones, but all of them are also part of a bigger master plan on what we try to promote with Sigma in this area of service design, delivery, and also digital. Now, just to put things into the wider scope, what we're doing as the OECD Sigma program, most of you online will be quite familiar what we're doing. But just to reiterate, we are, besides the topic and the topics that we are dealing with today, so service delivery and digital, we as Sigma cover a wide range of other topics as well. All of them covered by the principles of public administration. And it's against these principles of public administration and that we as Sigma are also asked and mandated to carry out the assessments. Assessments that we did in the 6 Western Balkan economies over the course of last year. That will also be one of the core topics that Jose will present later today. But also assessments that we are currently carrying out in Armenia. We did Ukraine and also Moldova last year. So this is a bit the bread and butter of what we are doing. In the area of service delivery and digitalization, we cover a number of what we call principles. For the colleagues that are quite involved in these assessments, you know them fully by heart by now. 4 principles that cover the area, ranging from the policy and the institutional setup for the design of administrative services, Principle 19. When it comes to the delivery of high quality services, so everything related to proactive, to live events and related aspects, this is what we cover in Principle 20. The focus on accessibility, being it online and offline, this is what we cover in Principle 21. And then the digital, the prime focus on digital, we put at our Principle 22. Principle 22, which in the updated principles have become a full-fledged area. Before, in the previous /old version, digital was covered to a smaller, less extent. But now, under the new revised principles, this has become really a full-fledged thing on its own, which I think it deserves to be. So these are all the sub-principles, all the areas that we cover. Again, colleagues that are familiar with our assessments, with the methodology, you know this. We have had lengthy discussions in drafting the framework, but of course also in doing the assessments. There is a lot of detailed, a lot of flesh around these bones of the principles. I will not go into details covering all of them now when it comes to the methodology, to indicators, how we measure. But Jose will, in his presentation, touch upon several, if not all, of these aspects in terms of, okay, what is the state of play now? What is the level of maturity in all the different economies in the Western Balkan region? Again, for colleagues that are interested in going into the details when it comes to the methodology, please reach out or go to Sigma's website. You will find all of the details fully over there. With this, getting back to our agenda for today, so I will immediately hand over to my colleague Jose to talk us into the results against these principles. What have we seen? What do we know? What is the level, the state of play, the level of maturity in all of your countries? And Jose will be also accompanied by the good colleagues from Capgemini, who for us, and well, first of all for the European Commission, but then also for us, have been very supportive on the e-government benchmark. But I'll leave it to the colleagues later on to explain way. After that, we have our good friend Sim Sikut from Estonia, currently leading the Digital Nation, and Sim will then guide us more into the digital transformation in terms of the background, but also the way forward, shedding some light on what he has heard, but also introducing us into the roundtable, into the panel, for which we are very grateful to have all the colleagues from the different countries here with us. We have Romina from Akshi in Albania. We have Nermin, who is replacing Almir Banjevic from IDEA in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We have Lulezon Jakcu, the advisor to the Prime Minister on Digital in Kosovo. We have Vanja Lezarevic, Ministry of Public Administration, Montenegro. Miroslav Grozdanovski from the Ministry of Digital Transformation, North Macedonia. And last but certainly not least, we have Dara Gravar from the Ministry of Public Administration and Local Self-Government in Serbia. We will come back to the colleagues in the panel after the small break. Then when we have a nice discussion round at the end. But just before concluding, we have the good colleagues from RESPA. So Bojana, who is leading the work on digital in RESPA, will then also make some small reflections on what we heard today, but also the work that RESPA is doing in this regard. With any further ado, I would kindly pass on, so stop sharing my screen and kindly pass on to my good colleague Jose to fully take it away. Please, Jose, the floor is all yours.
Good morning, colleagues, and thank you, Nick, for the kind introduction, and thank you all for being here on a sunny Friday morning, which is much more appealing to be outside listening to a webinar, but I hope we can make it your time and your commitment to be here worthy. Let me try to share my screen. Is it coming correctly?
We can see the screen, and now it's fully there, Jose, so all perfect.
Thank you, Nick. So first, I'm gonna do very small introduction. As Nick already mentioned, our main product in Sigma, our main document is the Principles of Public Administration. The principles were endorsed by the European Commission and also, of course, approved by the OECD. And what are the principles? The principles are a set of standards on what is needed to achieve good governance in certain areas. And for our topic today, especially in digital government and service delivery. So, as Nick already mentioned, we have now a dedicated principle. So, when we finish the assessment process, like it was very heavy, and I want to give a big thank you from all the colleagues from the different governments because they help us a lot, providing a lot of information. At the beginning, when we finish, all people see, all people focus is only a number. Is my digital government a 30 for Sigma? Is it 70? And not only colleagues from the government, but also researchers, practitioners, people interested in digital, consultants, they reach to us and say, okay, what's the score? But in the end, I have to say that the score is not what is really important. What is really important are the policy lessons that are behind the scores of public administration. And the number is actually a result not of an expert assessment done in one day. Of course, it is an expert assessment. We count there with many experts, also with Sim Sikut, who is present today as the leading key expert for this assessment. but it's a very, very long process. At the end, what do? We collect more than 1,710 criteria. For the service delivery and digital area, about 230 criteria. So we ask for many documents, laws, strategies, evidence on implementation from the governments. Then we conduct what we call finding missions. We go there and we check. Then we run 3 surveys. We run 1 survey for business, random sample 500 business in each country. Then another survey for citizens where we had 1,500 citizens for each country, and also a survey of public servants. And then we do the assessment process. We actually go and assess each one of the criteria. I will explain you a little bit. So this is how our methodology works. If I were a magician, I will be a very bad magician because I'm showing you the trick, how we do it. So how we do it is we have a list of criteria. Now I'm going to explain you what is a criteria. And then we check the criteria if it's complied yes or not, or if the criteria is a number, if the number is in a set threshold. And then we sum up all the criteria and we create what we call sub-indicators, that they are mini composites. And they evaluate a sub-principle. For example, interoperability platform is functional and allow for real-time data exchange of good quality between public administration and private individuals. And then we sum all the criteria, of course a weighted sum, not everything weights the same in our methodology, there are some things more important than others, of course, and then we have the number, the indicator, what's the score of certain government in the digital government area. So, criteria, what is a criteria? Because criteria is the Lego brick, is the most important thing in our methodology. We have many types of criteria. First, we have criteria on legislation. For example, there is a legislation on electronic identification, electronic documents and trust services in the country. And then we check if there is legislation, or we say no if there is no legislation. But we not only do that, we read the legislation. We check, for example, are digital documents equally valid legally and digital signature than paper documents? Are data in registries can be used as full proof in administrative procedures, etc. We have many criteria, or the same for open data, for reuse. We have many criteria that we check if the legislation comply with the EU acquis and with the international and OECD standards. But we don't only check legislation, we also check strategies. And not only if there is a strategy or not, but we read the strategies from a formal point of view. We analyze if the strategies have a good situation analysis, if they are not built in an office by someone without knowing the reality of the digital administration in the country. If there have been an analysis of the real problems, we also check if there are institutions that are responsible for action. We also check if there are deadlines, if there are indicators, etc. Then we move to the institutions. When we have finished the legislation and the strategy analysis, we analyze, okay, there is the laws, there are the actions to be done, but there are enough institutions with clear mandates and capabilities to implement all this. But we don't stop only in that. In the 3 things, we move to practicing implementation. So we check, we try to capture a little bit what is the reality behind, how the digital administration is functioning. For that, we rely a lot in administrative data, for example, percentage of institutions connected to the interoperability platform, number of unique user of the services portal, number of electronic identification and signature issued and used by unique users in the last year, etc. But we also go deeper and we ask, as I mentioned before, the citizens, the business and the civil servants in the public administration. For example, we have a criteria on cybersecurity skills, and we don't only check legislation and institutions and strategies, but we ask the civil servants, have you been trained in cybersecurity in the last 3 years? Do you feel you have enough knowledge to protect yourself against phishing and other type of attacks? And those are the results. And of course, I have mentioned many different things. So some of our criteria are binary, are just yes or not. Some are ordinal. There are situations that we assess better than others, and some of them are numerical, like implementation rate or percentage of institutions connected to the interoperability platform. So with all that, with all more than 1,700 criteria for the whole public administration and more than 200 for the service delivery and digital area. What can you see from that? Actually, you can see everything. We are committed to fully transparency, so we have a data portal you can see on the right, and there is also the email address. In the data portal, you can zoom in. You don't only see the scores and the nice graphs, but you can click on every dimension, on every principle, then you can click on every sub-principle, and you end up, for example, this is how it looks like the beginning of the data portal for the sub-principle on interoperability. You can check which countries has published an interoperability framework specification. You can check also the percentage of institutions connected. You can check also if this complies with semantic interoperability, etc. Criteria by criteria, everything is there in the data portal. But as I said before, numbers are good, but numbers are not enough. You need the policy lessons. And for that, we have published, of course, the country reports. All of them are already available. Then we also have published a regional report comparing the state of play in the region. And now we're working in a wider dedicated paper called Digital Government in the Western Balkans. Hopefully it will be finished by this summer. I don't want to commit with a date because it has to be approved by the OECD members in a committee. So maybe you will have it by September. Hopefully, maybe you could have it before. But now I'm going to do spoilers. So I'm not only a bad magician, but I'm also a bad storytelling about the document, because I will give you now the hints of the main results of our policy paper. So what are the results? The number, what you see. So what you see here, like the question everybody asks, we see front runners. Serbia and Albania are definitely sharing a leadership position. They have very similar score. 1-2 points more in our methodology is nothing. It's from 0 to 100. So both are in the 60s. Then we have Montenegro. We have Kosovo. As a great surprise compared to our previous results in 2021, they have a step up in digital government, and they are scoring in the range of the 40s. Then we have Macedonia and Montenegro in the range of the mid-20s, and then we have Bosnia and Herzegovina, which more room for improvement. But benchmarking between different public administration, different government is good, but it doesn't tell you the whole story. You can also benchmark your own public administration, your own digital government against all other areas of public administration. And what can you see there? Unfortunately, for the whole Western Balkans, digital government is not the top area in public administration. In some countries it is. You can see there in green. Digital government is much better in Albania, for example, than other areas like strategic framework of public administration reform. But this is not the reality everywhere. And this is a good policy lesson. If your government is good in certain areas, it can also be good in digital. And also we see a lot of variation when we focus more in what we call the sub indicators. There is a lot of variation between different governments. So for example, there are countries scoring 100 in interoperability. They comply with all our criteria, all our standards, and there are countries scoring only 20. But also the same country shows a lot of variation. We see, for example, some countries that scores almost 100 or 100 even in interoperability percent, but in reuse of digital solutions, they score close to 0. So this is also, I think, important from the policy point of view. But now let's forget a little bit about the numbers and let's deep into the policy consequences. So about digital government institutions, strategy and coordination, we see again a lot of variation, but what we can see clear is what we can identify the drivers of success. If you have, for some countries where there are strong central government institutions responsible, and this is not only true for the Balkans, but also in the other countries we're assessing like Ukraine, Armenia, or Moldova, then those countries are more likely to make sure that line ministries actually implement and adopt the guidelines. Because strategies standards, guidelines are not sufficient. You need a strong central institution that can make everyone in the public administration to commit. Also, if you have a strong central institution for policy setting, it's easier to steer complex reforms like life events, which require a lot of collaboration between different institutions to happen in the country. But it's not enough, again, only to have strong central institutions. We have seen that countries who are doing very good in digital, they also have strong agencies for implementation. What do I mean? I mean an executive body can also be the ministry, doesn't need to have autonomous functioning, but there should be a central body with enough capacity for implementation, who is able to provide common compatible IT solution, who actually runs the interoperability platform, but not only, also the data centers that provide services to online ministries. Because if not, when we don't observe this, what we observe? We observe that every like ministry and agencies in other countries, they are working alone. They are developing, some of them, we see islands of excellence. In some countries, we see excellent IT application in the tax office, but nothing else. Not compatible, not interoperable with any other, not making full advantage of all the possibilities of digital government. So, and of course, the last policy question, which is obvious for everyone, is like high political commitment, and enough funds are also very much needed. But even with high political commitment and sufficient funds, if the institutional framework is not clear, and if there is not a strong implementation body, then countries do not manage success in digital government. Now I'll move to digital government building blocks, what we call building blocks, about the public registries, about the interoperability framework and platform, about the digital identity and the trust services. We see that in the Balkans, legal norms, strategies and standards are present almost everywhere, or actually everywhere. And they are mostly aligned with EU standards also everywhere. Like the governments have done their job to align with the European interoperability framework as much as possible, with the eIDAS regulation, of course, the previous one, not the 2.0 yet, because this is fairly recent. But the factor of success is not having the regulations in place. The factor of success is the adoption. And there is why we say that investing in all three is important. If you have a good interoperability platform up to the state of the art, similar to the Estonia X-Road, but registries are bad quality, what we have seen in some countries, then if you exchange bad data, you get bad data. The interoperability platform will not solve the problem of the data. It solves the problem of exchange of the data, but data is good. But we also observe in some institutions the opposite. They have very good registers, they have digitalized, they have used artificial intelligence to clean it, but they are not interoperable with others. So then only one institution benefits from having the data. And of course, even if you have data and interoperability, if your citizens don't use electronic identification system, electronic signature, because they are expensive or cumbersome to use, then you cannot make the full potential of the digital government. And let me zoom a little bit also now in more results. Here we analyze the once only principle. As you know, once only principle means that the citizen has to communicate one data or one to the public administration, only one. Citizens, we should not be postmen of the public administration, getting a certificate from one institution and taking the bus or the car and going to a different institution, different window with this certificate. Because all this can travel smoothly in the background. Then we have also the pre-filling of forms, which is actually a consequence of the once-only principle, the way implementing the once-only principle. It means when I log in a government platform, for example, to do my personal income tax, already my salary is there because my employer has communicated this data, so no need for me to communicate the data. And the integration of live events, which is the logical consequence of the previous two elements. If citizens communicate data only one, why cannot they apply for all services that are related only one? For example, if I have a baby, why do I need, when my wife and my baby are in the hospital, to run to the Ministry of Health to get a pediatrician, to the Ministry of Labor to get the benefit for the time of the parenthood leave? Why do I need to go and register my child in my home or ask for identification documents or for kindergarten in the background if the government already knows, because there is a birth certificate, hopefully a digital birth certificate, that I'm having a baby? Why all not these forms are everywhere? We check this, we analyze this in every country, and what we see is that, again, it's all related. Only countries with strong institutions are actually having good results in life events and in interoperability. Sorry, in life event and in once only principle and pre-filling of forms. But we have some good news here. Even all our objective indicators are not scoring super high in once only principle or in pre-filling of forms. Public perception is not bad in the Balkans. The majority of citizens and businesses, when we ask, in the last service you performed in the public administration the last year, did you have to provide documents that the public administration already have for data? And the majority said no. This is because maybe it can be partially explained that expectations are still not very high, so people don't notice when they need to present the data that the public administration already have, but can be also a fact that most people, the last service, especially companies, were about tax, and tax is very advanced in almost all Western Balkans, across the Western Balkans, electronic tax services. And about emerging technologies and reuse of IT solutions, what we see here in the Balkans is there are many strategies. Some of them are already enforced, some of them are being provided. However, for implementation, for success of adopting and benefiting from the emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, strategies, again, are good, but not enough. What we see here is definitely a lack of clear legal rules. And you need clear regulations how to use artificial intelligence, especially in administrative procedures. If you are taking a decision that affects the rights of the citizen, and a machine is not taking the final decision but pre-screening and giving a decision, then this has to be regulated very thoroughly to use artificial intelligence without any risks. But again, if you use artificial intelligence and you train it on bad data and data which is not interoperable, the solution is not good. If you create a chatbot using artificial intelligence for information about public services, but you don't have a good registry of all administrative procedures digitalized with up-to-date information, then the chatbot will give you wrong information. And regarding reuse of digital solution, unfortunately, this indicator is close to zero in all Western Balkans. What it means? Reuse of digital solutions, there is a clear policy now in the European Union for reuse of digital solutions. It means if a municipality programs a platform for open data, I don't know, in urban development, to share all data about the cadastre, the urban planning, etc., this solution should be open source, and this solution should be ready in an inventory for reuse of other municipalities. We cannot afford, a public administration, to buy 20 times different software that do the same, or even the same software that do the same or develop, and hire contractors to customize or to program from scratch a new software. So the future is reuse of digital solutions, but there we don't see clear rules in any of the countries, and we don't see repositories. Of course, countries where there is a strong implementation agency that actually is in charge of designing all information system in the central government, they internally reuse, but this is not enough. We have municipalities, we have more level of government, we have independent institutions like the parliament, we have the courts. All of them may benefit from reusing some of the digital solutions existing in the government. And now you ask me, and what about digital services? So you have talked, it's good, but it's about the building blocks. But how digital services are working in the Western Balkans. For that, I will pass the floor to my colleagues from Capgemini. But before that, I just wanted to show this graph, because what we see here This they will explain later, but it's a mystery shopper analysis of 96 digital services, online application forms checked by their team. What we see here is the same. It's a high correlation. We see the same public administration more or less in the same order that I presented before. So I don't want to take more of your time. Please, colleagues from Capgemini, please stand. The floor is yours. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Nick. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning. My name is Niels van der Linden. I'm a vice president in Capgemini and have been involved for, 15 plus years in digital policies and evaluations such as this one. I'm here together with my colleagues Armand and Stan, who will in a minute guide you through a quick recap of the methodology and the results for the Western Balkans. To give you a bit of historical understanding of this study, I've been involved in this study for many years. It evaluates government performance in a quantitative way, but also it identifies good practices and it encourages knowledge sharing and learning amongst digital public administrations. We also hope to aim that we achieve the same in this presentation. The method has been developed for the European Commission together with the member states, and it has been in place for many, many years, already since, I would say, 2011 in its current shape. It's closely aligned to all the, digital priorities of the Commission, such as user empowerment, interoperability, EID, and so on, and has been consistent over time on those main indicators, whilst also aiming to include some new indicators to keep bringing meaningful insights to the policymakers and everyone involved in development of digital governments across the administrations involved. So we hope it also brings this value to the audience here. Happy to present. Thanks, Jose and Nick, for the invitation. And I'll hand over now to Stan to give you a quick glance of the method before Armand dives into the results. Stan, are you there?
Yes, of course. Yeah, sure.
Great.
I can do a quick introduction of the methodology. So, a few points on the left side that we see on the screen here are about also where it comes from. As the bottom point already Niels already covered. So it says it originates in its current shape indeed from 2011. But then maybe to go all the way on the top of the left side, so there's different stages that we use in our methodology, and those are the three main stages that you actually see on the right side. So there is landscaping, data collection, and reporting. And so in the first two blocks, these are actually the steps that we use to collect all the information that we should get. And the first step that we do, which is landscaping, is there we assess. So we have a set of services that we assess, and then we consider by who are they provided, and on what government level is that, but also on what specific website do people need to go. So that's what we do in the landscape. And in the data collection, we actually will ask our mystery shoppers to visit those websites and to assess the service provisioning on all these kinds of elements that Niels just also talks about. So the next point is the collaborative approach. So the research team that will be us. We manage the process, but we, of course, as I said, we use mystery shoppers. So these are people who engage as a user, but we also engage with country representatives, as we do with the 27 member states, but also with all the administrations that for which we conducted the study in the Western Balkans. And then afterwards we curate a report, and then maybe lastly to just cover we cover 92 services, and this is across 9 live events. And so this is the way we cluster our services, but it also enables us to cluster them in a way that a user would actually engage with these services. So they are combined from a perspective as somebody who would go through their life and take steps which are logical one after the other. And these are captured in the 9 live events. And then I'll give the floor to Armand to discuss the results.
Thanks, Dan. And I think one thing to good to note here is that there's two things that distinguish our benchmark with the Commission in comparison to the other benchmarks that are out there. One is that our mystery shopping method really ensures greater objectivity because we really look at services from the perspective of end users. And of course, as Don mentioned, this is a collaborative approach, so we validate this with member states as well as our quality checks in the process. And two, as Don mentioned, there's a wide range of services. So we really look at a lot of different services that are provided by governments and looking at their applicability, but also their online availability as well. So let's dive into the results. The first thing we're going to look at is the overall score. And the overall score is essentially an aggregate of all the different dimensions that we measure in our study. And in terms of overall score, we noticed that there are great disparities, not only within the Western Balkan region, but also when you compare the Western Balkan region to the EU27. So when we're looking at the digital public administrations that need the most improvements, we can compare the top performers to the lower performers, and then also compare the top performers. So in this case would be Serbia for the overall score to the EU27 average to gauge where the region is at as a whole in comparison to the EU as a benchmark. The first key dimension that we look into is the user centricity key dimension, which essentially measures the extent to which governments provide services with users in mind. And so there's three underlying indicators in this. So there's online availability, so whether the service is actually provided online or information about the services is provided online. Then there's mobile friendliness, so whether the service can be accessed via a mobile device. And thirdly, user support. So whether there are help functionalities or complaint procedures available for citizens or entrepreneurs to use while they're accessing services. And within this key dimension, we noticed that, I mean, overall, there are higher scores when you compare to the other key dimensions, as you'll see later on. So overall, the region and also the EU27 are doing relatively well on this. But we can also see there is gaps. So aside from Serbia's score, who's the top performer in this key dimension, who also come pretty close to the EU27 average, we noticed that the other five digital public administrations, there's still gaps. There's a 15-point gap between them and the EU average. So there's also, again, there's room for improvement in this sense, despite high scores. And as I mentioned, one of the indicators under this key dimension is the online availability indicator, which we look at it from two angles. So one, is it accessible to national users? So if I'm a citizen within my own country, can I access this service? And then also from the perspective of a cross-border user, which is a citizen attempting to access services within another country that they're either visiting or living in. And as you can see, I mean, this is a general trend also within the EU27 countries that online services tend to outperform cross-border services. So cross-border services are generally an area for improvement for digital public administrations. And I mean, in terms of the Western Balkan administration, Serbia, again, it stands out for its high performance in terms of online availability. But the entire region can also improve on its cross-border scores as well. The next key dimension is transparency, which is looking at the extent to which the service processes are transparent in terms of three kind of key areas. So one in their delivery, one in the design or the production of the service, and also in terms of personal data, whether personal data is transparently available to citizens or entrepreneurs attempting to access services. And here we notice that generally it is one of the lower performing key dimensions also within the EU27. However, when we're comparing the Western Balkans and the EU27, we notice that Serbia comes closest, and then there's a big jump off. So there's like about a 30-point jump off after Serbia. So I mean, overall, again, this is a challenge within the EU27 as well in terms of being transparent in service delivery, in terms of being able to access your data. So it is a pain point also for improvement. key enablers. So key enablers essentially measures the extent to which main IT enablers are available during service processes. So these are things that essentially make your experience as a user of public services more efficient, more easy. So these are things like electronic identification, e-documents, pre-filling capabilities, digital post, and security. And here we see that Albania leads the region, with Serbia also as a runner-up, almost with a higher score, and then a little bit of a jump off with the rest of the region. However, we noticed that when you compare to the EU average, there is still a significant disparity, even between the top performers and the EU27. And the gaps can even range up to 65 points in our scoring. So with the region with the digital public administration needing the most improvement, we see that there's a 65 gap between them and the EU27 average. So another capability to needing improvement. And something interesting to note is that so two of the indicators under the key enablers dimension are electronic identification and pre-filled forms. And while they are not directly linked in our study, so they are very distinct indicators that we measure separately, we can say that comparing the two can tell you something about interoperability capabilities of government services. So this is the ability of different systems to exchange data. Because often we notice that when there's electronic identification available for a service, then data will be pre-filled based on the information that the electronic identification system derives from its home system. Furthermore, Serbia and Albania stand out here. We can see that they have pretty high scores, both within their EID and pre-filled forms, which kind of also shows that pattern that might be there regarding interoperability. In the case of North Macedonia, Kosovo, service providers have access to data registries, but this is not done with a EID system, with a national EID system. Hence the reason why you see that there's a big drop-off between their EID and pre-filled forms. So the pre-filling capabilities are there, it's just not done by a national EID system. And lastly, we look at cross-border services. So this is the extent to which, as I explained before, where citizens from other countries can access services in another country, with information being available and also the service being accessible to them online. And this has 4 underlying indicators within it. So we, again, look at online availability. We also look at user support, also electronic identification, and also e-documents as well. And this, even within the EU27 average, we noticed that this is one of the lowest scoring key dimensions. So this is one of the areas needing the most improvement also within the EU. As you can see, the scores are relatively low. And even when you compare, however, the Western Balkans need a significant improvement, especially when you look at the highest performers and you compare them to the EU average, you see there's a sizable gap in score. Hence, I think this is a general area where governments can improve on in terms of providing users from other nationalities to be able to access the services within their country. And those are the key dimensions, and also the results that we have conducted for the Western Balkans. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, colleagues, for the really insightful presentation. The methodology just presented the results. I think is the most comprehensive methodology analyzing electronic services now currently in the whole world, not only in Europe, by the number of services analyzed and by all the checks the mystery shopper has to do. They has actually to log in the service and perform. So I think now in the agenda, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have a short break before moving to the next presentation.
Yes, I just want to thanks, Jose, and indeed we will just stretch legs and refill coffees and teas so that we can then go to the next part. Just before doing so, really would like to reiterate. Well, first of all, to thank both of you, meaning Jose from our side, and also all the colleagues, the great team from Capgemini, because it's really a privilege to work with the colleagues. I'd just like to reiterate that it's actually for the first time that we managed to get all the economies in the six Western Balkans covered under the e-government benchmark methodology. Before, the European Commission was doing this together with Capgemini, but not all the economies were covered. So this is really like for the first time that we have the six in such a comparative way collected, so that we have like a great, I think, basis for the region, and of course also a comparative basis for the wider EU 27. So I think this is also quite important to mention. We got some questions in the chat related to the sharing of the presentations. We are quite happy and good in doing so. But as Jose also mentioned in the beginning, all of what we are presenting now will be covered at length in the full report. So happy to share presentations, but for sure, if you want to read the full analysis and the narrative, this will be upcoming also in the full report later on, as Jose mentioned. We are just running a little bit behind, not too much. I would say, dear colleagues, if you would not mind, if we just take a small break, like 5 minutes max, and that we then resume and then give the floor to Sim. So really stretching legs, no big dancing and partying, just stretching legs, get a refill of your coffees or whatever, and then we really join in really a couple of minutes. Is that okay? Then see you back soon. Sim, if you just if you would like to test your screen, if you have like a presentation, not sure if you have something you would like to share with us. If you would like to test your, yep, there we are, top.
Good to go. All right.
Good to go, yeah. Just let's then wait for the 2 promised minutes, and then we give you back the floor. We are just giving it, would say 1 more minute, and then if you're ready, we will slowly kick off at that moment. Colleagues will then, if not already back, will soon join again for sure. Okay, Sim, I see colleagues are joining back online and on screen. So let's take that as a sign that we are good to go. So with this, first of all, happy to have you with us, Sim. As Jose mentioned already before, Sim has played a important role when we were shaping our principles of public administration, certainly in the area of digital. Sim, well, does Sim need an introduction? But Sim was the CIO of Estonia, and with this has a lot of experience, credits, insights, knowledge of that part for sure, but also has been doing a lot of work all over the globe in this area. So we're really happy to team up with Sim always, and also for that purpose make use of Sim's insight and knowledge when we applied our principles during the assessments in the Western Balkans. So before giving you the floor, Sim, I see the virtual hand from Jose is up. If this is more than to greet Sim, then please, Jose, step in.
I just, Sim, I'm gonna steal 1 minute from you to answer a question in the chat. There is a question, very good question, saying that North Macedonia has a strategy in transparency, but why is it scoring not very good in the results we presented? Regarding Sigma indicators, transparency and open government is not is in the accountability area, is a different principle. But what we were measuring here when we talk, and also the colleagues from Capgemini, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is what colleagues from Capgemini are checking is transparency in service delivery. So if the information about the service is transparent, is clear, is easy to find and to understand by users, is if the information of how personal data is actually used by public administration regarding public services. So here we're not talking about open government. Here, this is a different indicator. Here we're talking about transparent public services. So that, but dear colleague, feel free to contact us and we can actually get to you and expand in the results of North Macedonia in open government and transparency. That's all from my side. Please, Sim, and sorry for jumping in.
Oh, thanks, Jose. Thanks. Please, Sim, take it away.
Thank you so much. And perhaps if I can add one more comment, Jose, then look, the assessments always are a bit pictures in time, right? Meaning that we will talk in the panel soon as well. I mean, during the last year, quite a few things already have changed and also advanced in a way. So this is the glimpse as it was about a year ago, and results and analysis from there. Look, but first of all, thanks really to Sigma and for the good partnerships we have had all through this cycle. And it's only my pleasure to now try to, in a way, offer a bit of reflection back from what we have seen together throughout the process. In many ways, I am a warm-up act to something I really look much forward to is the panel, having actually the country speak up in a sense what's new and what's on the horizon. But I was asked to share a few thoughts, perhaps building on the assessment in terms of what next or where to go from here. And I have to say that in many ways, Jose did such a good job at this already, bringing really like the main points and hammering them really home in a sense of what perhaps I would have brought up and I will bring up. So forgive me if there's a bit of repetition in places, but I think this is really to emphasize and iterate the message for that matter. I will share my screen just for context. I mean, it is more pointers. But so to start with, perhaps slightly philosophically in here, and think where do all my thoughts come from, and where does also a lot of the assessment thinking perhaps come from, is two things. Well, first of all, if we talk about the future, the way forward, at least in my own native Estonia and in my own practice these days when we work globally with governments, it's really the thinking that, look, future is what we make it to be. Just as the movie Back to the Future was, right? As some of you know, meaning that we can talk about trends, we can talk about things happening around us, but ultimately they will happen anyway. What is going to be the future of our country, our digital government, is what we make it to be. And it's a lot of, in this sense, is in our hands, as we see from country to country, in the great progress made around the world like that. But it also means is that if future is what we make it to be, it's the ability to get things done that matters. It's the delivery, it's the implementation, it's the execution that matters. Or as we like to say often is that, look, transformation is the buzzword, right? Transformation starts where execution starts. And so the reason why I bring this up, if we look very big picture at this assessment and situation in 6 countries and so forth, then this is clearly at stake here. How much is there an ability to get things done? Jose himself already highlighted as well. Look, it's easy to have many plans on paper, but are they going to be implemented? Are they going to be followed? Are the standards going to be put in place? That's the differentiator. So if you look even globally, this is not the question of just Western Balkans. If you look globally, the ability to get things done and delivered is what differentiates countries. And so this is where a lot of my reflections will be coming from. So if we speak about the ability to get things done, what we clearly see in this region and around the world is one thing, that it's easy to do flagships, pilot projects, to kick things into action, adopt a law, but to then scale these things across the government and really say that, look, our government is, for example, this or that, it's data driven, or our government is fully interoperable, or cybersecurity measures are properly being followed. That's the core challenge. And this is no news to anyone in this field, but this is what is essentially the name of the game. So this is truly where, as I said, countries differentiate from each other in terms of who perhaps makes a leap and not. Those who solve this challenge, those make the leaps. And in that sense, I really want to echo something that Jose said. Perhaps I'm putting it slightly differently, but what we see from country to country is that to get things done, to scale things to universal adoption across the government, to get this level of coordination, more and more central capability to steer digital is helpful. This may mean institutions, but fundamentally it means teams more than institutions. It means people who wake up every day with a mission of getting things done across the government. That there's enough of them, that they have enough of a mandate, that they are really empowered to lift the whole government up. Countries in Western Balkans are at a different stage of that. There's no one model for that. I mean, obviously, it will always, what does the central digital team mean? We'll always have a bit of local flavor. But ultimately, building this steering capability, hands-on steering capability, is what makes more and more of a difference in this world as we see. The hard part there is that at the same time, you don't want to bring things top-down fully. Countries have tried. My own country tried this in the past as well. What that means is that if you just try to do everything top-down, for example, from president's office only, and again, many of you know this, then very little things get done. Very few things get done, just because the bandwidth of any one institution is limited. So ultimately, every agency still needs to be a digital agency in their domain. Every ministry remains a digital ministry in their field. Ministry of Health still will be the digital health ministry. So the trick here, and why I'm speaking about this, is that what we see in terms of modern digital governance models It's a combination of strong central steering and the ability and capability for that, with then bottom-up build-up of capability to lead the domains and do the transformation there. So one part lifts all the boats, lays the ground tracks, sets the strategy, helps with central capability, platforms and things, and then innovations and transformation can come bottom up. But what it also means, and this is really something for every country to think about, you need very effective steering mechanisms, not just institutions. In many countries, we see that like a committee is meant to be an institutional mechanism, but it takes more than committees. It takes actual processes of coming together, aligning across agency silos, building these relations, or processes of bureaucracy, whether it's financial checks, audit, design, or architectural reviews. Many different models can be applied, but ultimately, where the central strong teams can make sure that, again, the central directions are being followed, whether it's a service standard, whether it's the architectural guidelines, whether it's the AI policy, or the new law that was put in place. So looking forward, also in the Western Balkans regions, I truly believe that more emphasis has to go into designing these steering mechanisms to really build this effective governance, because then all these great plans being done in these 6 countries really have a chance of being implemented thoroughly and scale beyond just the introduction. What does it take? And this is an area we specifically asked for in the assessment as well, and Jose briefly covered this too. But we see that very few governments in this region, and again globally, tackle this capability build-up strategically. More and more strategies speak about building up digital skills in the whole of country and economy. I don't know, teaching public servants to, for example, use computers or use AI these days and whatever. But strategically managing the talent inflow so that there would be centrally capable teams. Also strategically managing the talent in the ministries, how to do the bottom-up transformation, that's more and more important. So having like an actual strategic agenda, effective training programs, collaboration between countries, well, RESPA's here, right? That's a lot what probably has to be there in the next sort of periods to come, just because that capability, both bottom-up as well as top-down, that will determine the ability to deliver things. And that takes me all the way back to the beginning point. So ideally, in the next stage, a very conscious approach and active approach to build digital leadership throughout the governments, to bring in and manage not just technical talent, but really, let's say, digital leadership talent, which is more than technology. That's the name of the game. So if I say more than technology, for example, in Digital Nation, we have now built up like a full understanding of what does it take to effectively start and lead a transformation through. So the impact comes that the good services come out of this, just like measured by Capgemini here. And for example, the skill set, the know-how, the competences we see, you have to have an understanding of technology as a leader, but more and more it's about the ability to manage change, manage the transformation to get transformation done. And this is very much echoed from, again, my own native Estonia. So I am often asked, okay, so what is the one lesson from 25 years of Estonian journey, for example, that if you had to distill it down, what's the takeaway? And we always say, look, technology is irrelevant. Where Estonia has sometimes succeeded, sometimes failed, is managing the change that comes with technology. That has what has made the difference. And building the ability for that, and building the ability to deliver this transformation, that's a strategic priority more and more. Again, strongly reflected through the assessment results, in my view. Beyond this, so if that's a bit of the as-is picture, sort of, and reflections from there, if I think about what is on the horizon, what is happening around us, what is the future that your countries in the Western Balkans are trying to build, as evidenced in the words of strategic plans, and secondly, what is happening in the sort of countries around you, then I would really want to bring out 3 things that I think in the long list of things are of strategic importance for the next term. In addition, the first thing is interoperability. again, Jose has covered the basics for that, and we went all the way to saying, hey, look, I mean, work needs to be done on core data registers. But fundamentally, I would put it this way: there's quite a lot of effort being done piloting things like that in the 6 countries. Some have done more, some less. But fixing interoperability is the technical basis where more progress needs to be there. EID is picking up strongly. Okay, yes, there's also scaling and full adoption to be done, but interoperability sort of lags behind. And this is very natural. Again, we see this in country to country, in African continent or wherever we go. Interoperability seems to come second. But if you look from the point of view of transformation and actual service experience, it matters even more. All the buzzwords around proactiveness or life event services or things around sort of trying to make somehow the whole thing more seamless, it builds on interoperability, as all of you know. So fixing this has to be a strategically center of the agenda, and I know, and I'm sure in the panel quite a few will tell, it will be now in the next term. From this, what really I would sum up the whole block about sort of data and the current sort of, let's say, needs on data is that really building up data-driven capability, using data to make decisions, using data to improve services, having good registers for that, having proper data governance for that. I mean, the whole package of things, that's a need, because that's what a modern government, period, looks like. And it's not just about being digital in the digital channel only now. It's using data for improving your stuff and how you work. So, and that's a full area that probably will shift to focus even more than service delivery and design perhaps used to be. And for one natural reason that you all know, I'm saying the obvious, I'm sure, but without being data driven, there's a very little shot of being AI driven in government or AI powered in government. And artificial intelligence, I mean, frankly, guys, it's here. This is not a trend for the future, it's here. What we see is that AI is no longer a complicated matter. I mean, with the current, for example, Gen AI sort of technology out there, the threshold of starting the adoption of AI in public sector in practical terms has become very low. So even if you're still building up your data governance, even if you're still building up your registries, there's more and more simple use cases with the help of AI tools themselves. You can start adopting and using it for improving services, improving decision making. So any government these days that doesn't pay enough attention to AI is losing out strategically. If you're advanced and more mature, more front runner as a digital government, then the more there's reasons to go there. And again, I'm sure a few of you will, talk about your next efforts in the panel soon. But even if you're only starting, or you have to restart digital government, immediately make AI a cornerstone of your approach, because, like I said, the technology is so much more ready for that. So, frankly said, I believe that also in the next assessments, perhaps the AI block will have to grow stronger, just because it literally is the way that governments start to function these days, or they lose out on the gains in terms of development, public sector productivity, so on, so on. And it's a tricky thing. I realize that it's easy for me to preach this, but it's a tricky thing because of something I have said myself and I felt in my own life as a government CIO, is that in these jobs of trying to improve digital government, there's like a dilemma or dual job we have. On the one hand, there's so much to do with the foundations, the data governance, interoperability, the laws, the regulations, the basic cybersecurity. And now somebody says, hey, do AI. Unfortunately, that's the job. You got to do both. And again, that takes us back to this ability to build a proper governance, build a proper capability to govern and steer these things, because you got to do both. You got to keep the base up and running and improving, and you've got to be able to move with the next things, as at least the strategic things. I'm not saying jump with every new fabulous trend, but if a major disruption like AI is happening, any government immediately needs to basically build it as a package. So the challenge here is to, build up a portfolio of fixing the foundations and always going along with the next things, having this ability practically to experiment, try new things, embrace innovation while fixing the foundations. That, unfortunately, is the name of the job. And again, governments who pull this off, they really strive and make these leaps. So I want to end with this saying that I hope that, and I know from at least all the colleagues who will be joining us in the panel, that every day we got to build up this capacity to do more, to solve the dual challenge, to build up our capacity to govern and steer, and really make sure that things are implemented across the board. And what I perhaps want to leave as a last point, something that I didn't think about enough in my career, but you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You may have another job tomorrow, or another minister at least. So a lot of institutional capacity is really about building capacity so that it will stick around when you're not there. And I think the best of us do this every day, whether they build institutional mechanisms for that, teams for that, cultures for that, but doing transformation in a way that, yes, they last after you, that really is the long-term game here. But I will stop here. I hope it provides a bit of reflection back. I'm happy to take a few questions if we have time and if there are some. And thanks really for this chance to be in the cycle, and good luck in the next stage in the Western Balkans.
Thank you so much, dear Sim, for your always very helpful and insightful comments, reflections. As you said, in the, well, back to the future. So learning from the past and also shaping the future, because some things are hitting on us, but some things we can shape ourselves, as you nicely said it. I think we would have some time for a comment, question, one or two, if there's like on Sim's intervention immediately. So just also looking at Tanya, if colleagues can intervene, or otherwise, if you can put your question in the chat, that is also always possible, of course. In case we don't immediately see or hear, I see a hand from Adam. Good morning, Adam. Welcome on board. So, Adam, if you would be able to open your microphone, then please come in, Adam.
Yes, do you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear. Good morning, Adam.
Excellent, excellent.
Hey.
Good. Thank you so much for a very interesting range of interventions this morning. So I just wanted to ask Sim. Thank you also for your presentation, as always, very insightful. I'm just curious about your comment. I completely agree with you that the government digital transformation is really about managing transformation and the governance. But you had a comment saying that the technology doesn't matter. And I think I just wanted to hear if I could get your reflections on that a little bit in more detail, because I think what we're seeing now also is that, well, that would be my claim at the very least, is that the mature governments are moving towards cuts solutions, so more consolidated platforms, and because technology does matter, managing risks in the transformation and also the dependencies to maintain resilience and agility as a government is key features, and technology does play a role in this. So I would just like to hear your thoughts on this, which probably also has like a geopolitical dimension these days.
All right. Thank you, Adam, for that. I love this challenge, by the way. So, look, it's one thing is easy to say, okay, down the line, of course, if you have managed to build ability to change and you have the ability to manage transformation, then technology starts to matter, right? And I mean, there are, certain technologies that are more proven than others and so forth. But I still want to a bit sort of argue my original case, saying that what we, at least I have seen, in terms of technology, there are many ways you can do this stuff. I mean, there's no one way of doing data exchange. There's no one way of doing digital identity. There's no one way of doing a population registry. Whatever way you choose to do, there is a chance to make it work if you manage that transition properly around it. Again, I hear you. Certain technologies are easier to adopt. Certain technologies are more mature, etc. Certain may more work better in terms of I don't know, just even the ease of adoption. But ultimately, anything can be made to work if the ability to make them work is there. So that's really the heart of my argument.
Thank you. Fully agree, by the way. Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Thanks, Adam, for the interesting question indeed. Thanks, Sim, for the answer. If there is one more urgent, burning question that we can take up, that's okay. Otherwise, we move to the panel. But just before doing that and giving people 1 minute to reflect, there's also one interesting comment made in the chat by Dragana. Thanks, Dragana, for flagging the work that with Sigma we also have been doing when it comes to the single digital gateway and the state of play, the level of maturity of the single digital gateway in the Western Balkans. So we have published a small, well, not so small, we've published a paper document on this. And the link has been posted by Dragana. So thanks again for this, Dragana, and also for your super helpful involvement in making this document coming alive. Don't see any further hands for the moment. Then also to keep within the allocated time frame.
I see Niels would like to speak.
Thanks for flagging. Thanks for flagging because I couldn't see that. Okay, Niels, there you go.
If I can, and maybe ask also a question to Sim and others in this session. In my experience in the conversations with many of the countries in Europe on digital government progress, one of the questions that always comes back is, okay, how do we prioritize? What do we take on first? And I agree, that the managing of the process is very important, but that also means some kind of prioritization, right? I guess building a digital infrastructure takes time, but there's also some parts that could be implemented quicker. Like if we look at providing the right information on service processes or simple accessibility features. I'm curious to learn from your experience. How do you help countries? What would you advise to countries? How do you prioritize, or any experiences in that sense?
Well, thank you for that. And this indeed is a trick question because usually we don't see countries prioritizing. Usually we see them, they end up with plans that are Christmas lists, right?
Yes.
Meaning everything is sort of on the agenda, and then you have 180 pages of an action plan that's never going to be implemented, for that matter as well. Look, but without having a magic bullet, I mean, from my experience and from the work that we do, the answer to prioritization starts, but look, what are you trying to achieve? What is truly the government's sort of objective? And I mean, don't tell me that everything. I mean, even with the prime ministers, we've had this discussion saying, hey, so what is your number one objective you're trying to achieve? Why would you like to do digital, for example? So is it productivity or an economic growth? Is it better public service, just to serve your people better? Is to get rid of corruption? I mean, is it whatever that itself often starts to, if then matched against the current situation, starts to define what is the relative priority of things. Would you need more, for example, introduction of identity for the matter, or should interoperability come first? So I mean, this often tilts things in action. Secondly, in terms of prioritization, I think that was the reason why I sort of was trying to offer a bit of my views as a reflection from the assessment. If I think about prioritization when it comes to Western Balkans region, again, granted that countries are different level, but I mean, to me, the issues of building true capability to transform on both, central sort of level as well as sort of, bottom up from the ministries and agencies, fixing interoperability, proper data-driven government build-up and adoption of AI, these to me are the things to prioritize, at least when it comes to this region, from the long list of things to do.
Yeah, clear. Thanks. Yeah, that resonates. That resonates well. Thanks, Sim.
Yes, Jose, please continue.
If I may reflect just for a second on this, I fully agree with Sim. Of course, we did the assessments together, so we're with Nick also in the Sigma team, so we're fully aligned. I will also advise regarding prioritization, especially for the Balkans, like sometimes you also need to focus on quick wins. You need also to focus on something that is you see that can be implemented and achieve results soon. So then the rest of the change is easier to manage, is easier to be endorsed by the political level, is easier to get resources from international donors if they already see results. If they already, this is especially true for the public administration that is still have more areas for improvement. Prioritize, do the important things, fix the interoperability first. I fully agree with Sim on the data governance, but also if you could implement 1, 2 quick wings, 1, 2 quick digital services that work and the citizens are happy using it, then this can also give you leverage. That will be my reflection here. Sim, I don't know if you agree.
Absolutely agree, and thank you for adding that. So the trick that we always sort of see and is to combine the quick wins with long-term foundation building. So that to me is another example of the 80-20 thing that I was talking about, the dilemma of, improving the base and the foundations and doing innovative things. It's the same thing that quick wins boost you, but they just win you time, money, coverage to do the long-term foundations that takes tediously a lot of time. It's unsexy, but needs to be done, right? So yeah, fully hear you. But my only thing is also to say that, but in terms of political masters, their appetite is for quick wins only. They don't see the rest of it. So that's why I say that like, a lot of the wisdom is to package priorities in a way that quick wins are combined and also feed the long-term things. So speaking practically, like, for example, if indeed you see low-hanging fruit in terms of digitizing whatever service for your people, right? Can you immediately actually fix a bit of interoperability with that? So you piggyback the long-term, sort of the foundational things on top of those quick win service improvements.
Yeah, and if I may add, I think it is also key to build trust with the citizens or businesses to actually use those services and the things you provide, because the risk is, of course, that you otherwise might encounter a gap, what we also have seen in some countries, and then you have to invest in creating more awareness and skills and so on. So doing that in parallel, I think, helps a lot. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Good discussion. I think we can take hours, but maybe the time, Nick.
Well, I would say let's bring even more voices and insights into the discussion, the very interesting discussion. So this is, I think, the good moment, colleagues, and I'm looking for sure at Sim to also introduce to the panel and as said here the also voices from the countries themselves.
Absolutely, and thank you, of course, for all the questions and wrapping my solo part up. I have a great privilege to try moderate a bit representatives of those 6 countries, and in a sort of chat. And we thought about, look, let's not just do a reflection on the assessment and the past. Let's rather look what's new and what's coming. So I'll very classically move perhaps a bit to the order of alphabet in terms of country names, but I'll ask each of you to share a bit about since the assessment was completed last year, what's new? What's been the progress? What's been some of the achievements for the last year? And let me see if Romina from Albania, are you good to start?
Hi, Sim. I was having an issue with my allergy for a minute, so if we
you want a
can
minute,
switch, I just need a few more minutes to
okay, sure,
be
absolutely,
ready.
absolutely, all good. But then perhaps let's jump to the Bosnia and Herzegovina, Almir. So what's new in Bosnia? You're on mute.
Thank you, Sim. Sorry for being muted. First, I have to apologize because I'm stepping in for our director, Almir Badnevich, Professor Badnevich, who is to other urgent obligations, could not be with us. So it is my privilege to represent our agency or to talk about our ongoing challenges and the latest developments. So first, I have to reflect on one of the few introductory remarks on Jose and yours as well. I have to agree with you all in a way that first to say to Jose that I agree with that numbers are not all, since we as Bosnia are not really good with these numbers, as I could see from this assessment. So we have to correlate with this that what Sim actually said as well, that we had some agencies, some digital leadership among other ministries, and as our agency, as we and many others see it as one of the leaders in Bosnia and Herzegovina, considering the digital innovations and digital and the process as a whole. So considering the latest developments, we could see that in EID, Bosnia is the lowest level, and but since we already started this process like 10 years ago, and we got this EID with the chips and tried to personalize them, but we didn't get the whole support, political support. So we actually, from the last year, July of the last year, we introduced the remote digital signature for all citizens in whole Bosnia and Herzegovina, and it is free of charge for them. And since I would also reflect on some of you already commented more services, the actual services for citizens. So we got back to as many times as I was in some of the conferences, events, citizens, businesses, they're always asking like, what about the services? And there was always a historical question, is it a digital signature first or services first? So we did our part. So we enabled digital signature for the citizens, and we are now encouraging and forcing all other institutions and private sectors to enable as many services as possible. So in order to see from that, citizens can actually see what are the benefits of this process. We had a really good response and from many private sector companies, telecoms, banks, and we hope that in the following months we'll see a huge progress with regard to some services that will be offered to the citizens already starting now. We as an agency also implemented mobile application 2 months ago, where we offer citizens as well free of charge for digital signature, and also to enable transparency even more, to get citizens they can see their all data that we are processing, so they can see the ID cards, documents, fines, vehicles registration documents, etc. So this is a huge step forward, I think, for our country, and we'll see the benefits in the future. In the future, I think even months. With regards to the challenges that remains, since we have a bit specific, I don't like to use complex constitutional structure, since many other countries have the same complex structure. But we are lacking strong leadership. I mean, in a way that we have many administrative levels who are responsible for these processes, but we don't see the progress in all areas. Unfortunately, these administrative levels are most relevant for the citizens, since they should offer many services to them. But as I said at the beginning, we are making some progresses, and I think the next progress report, I think, will be how to say much better.
Thank you for that, and thanks also for highlighting the challenges part. Romina, you good? So what's new in Albania from last year, and what remains on the plate?
Yeah, thank you, Sim, and apologies for this period is like allergies everywhere. So from the last report, as you know, Albania has been progressing very intensively in the last decade, and we have continued to make significant strides in digital government over the past year. So some of our key developments that I'd like to highlight today is, of course, a virtual assistant, which the first version was launched in late 2023, having processed over 1 million citizen queries in 1 year. This year, in April, 1 month ago, we launched DIALA 3.0. So DIALA is the name of our virtual assistant. And with the new update, users can now request and receive 54 types of official documents through voice commands, streamlining access and improving user experience. On the other hand, licenses, construction permits, and also employment-related applications, which are now processed online, have had major upgrades. Like, for example, construction permits that previously took 300 days to be obtained, now require less than 180. Through the SMIP platform, which is our information system for the education, today 700,000 parents, 35,000 teachers, and 350,000 students have real-time access to educational and student performing data. This year, also 240,000 student registrations and transfers were made exclusively online, so no papers, no offices, no lines. Meanwhile, in the health sector, over 6 million electronic medical visits have been registered and 4.3 million electronic prescriptions. This is an usual yearly statistic that is reported from our health institutions. Donating blood is also easier than ever through the blood bank system that we have implemented. So users can book their appointment online and they can get a message where their blood type is needed most. So this is a simple way to step in through tough times and truly make a difference in someone's life. Thanks to the e-vaccine system, vaccination cards for 30,000 students were sent automatically this year. So the parents don't need to collect these documents for their children and take them to the schools for the registration process. Everything is handled digitally, making school registration easier than ever. Digitalization has also saved citizens 620 million euros in the past 5 years for Albania. This is an analysis that we have done with one of our international partners, the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change. This is also 7,600 years saved from waiting in line for citizens. And this is equivalent to doing 25,000 round trips around the earth. 75 million sheets of paper were not used. So we have practically saved an entire forest. Avoiding the production of this paper has also saved around 3.8 million kilowatts of energy, and that would be enough to power 375 families for a year. And also 752 million liters of water that would be needed to produce this paper. In terms of the construction permits, this is a very important process that I would also like to highlight. We have just launched a one-stop shop application for construction permits that merges separate environmental, cultural, and water-related approvals into one digital process. So instead of long waits that businesses and citizens were conducting before, we are now talking about reduced timelines. Once the water permit took over 200 days, it is now in just 120. So it's not just about the digital, but also the other reform that the public administration is doing in streamlining the process. This is also the case for the other permits that are usually required for the construction permits. So like, for example, the cultural permit from 800 days is now issued in 47 days. So now the citizens and businesses can benefit from a single form that includes everything. So all their application to permits in one single formula. Despite these achievements, one of our key challenges is the digitalization of local government services. This is also a recommendation that OECD Sigma has provided to us, even in the last report. And this is something that we are also taking into consideration and addressing in the next few years to come. So while the national systems have been unified and standardized, the municipalities often still use fragmented, outdated, and unintegrated systems. And this gap also limits the full provision of seamless and end-to-end digital governance across all administrative levels. Albanian citizens are now used to Albania, so they are used to having their services online. As you know, in Albania, 95% of public services are provided digital only. So they expect the same standard also for local services. So to address this, we are collaborating with the World Bank to extend our GovTech program with an additional financing to modernize and standardize the digital processes at the municipal level. So not just the services, but their whole administrative processes by setting up electronic systems for them, which will be integrated also with the national and the government systems through interoperability, and also the services will be provided on the Albania platform in a single and separated category as OECD Sigma has recommended to us. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and I think thanks really for bringing in the whole dimension of local government level. This often is a big headache anywhere, so good luck with that, and we'll come back to the next plan, your next plans anyway, for in a bit. But jumping to Kosovo, Lulazon, what's been new in there?
Thank you, Sim, and thank you, Nick and Jose, for having me. It's a great pleasure to be part of this discussion. So following up on some of the things which were mentioned a bit earlier, so we are progressing, I would say, on these low-hanging fruits. We are trying to digitalize as much services as possible, and during the past year, we've had a significant increase in the number of electronic services. But in parallel to that, we're looking at some really substantial reforms. So we're looking first and foremost how to make our service delivery genuinely user-centric. And that's a reform that we started about 2 years ago, has to do about the introduction of the live event-based service delivery. And we're really happy that we recently launched our first, I would say, live event, which is the childbirth live event, and all of the integrated services relate to that. This is very, very important because we're talking about a fundamental reform of transforming a very much of, I would say, administration-centric processes to truly user-centric processes which have integrated, proactive, and personalized services for citizens. In the case of this, I would say, childbirth live event, we were able to really provide, I would say, really significant improvements on how these important services related to this happy, I would say, live event are provided to new parents by providing seamless and automatic provision of services like registration of a newborn in the civil registry, creation of the personal ID and the birth certificate, then automatic or seamless provision of benefits for the child and for mothers, then as well integration with the basic health information system where the vaccines are already automatically transferred to this system, and then the profile for eKosova portal for parents, if they don't have it, is already created so that they can already follow up and take further actions related to their child through our service portal, which is eCosova. So this is, I would say, that what was discussed a bit earlier. So at the essence of this is the interoperability. So making, I would say, data move between institutions and avoiding the need for citizens to really go from one institution to another to take services related to a certain life event. And I would like to use the opportunity to thank Nick and Sigma in particular, who have been supporting us at the onset of this process. But beyond that, another important development this year is we also launched the eCosova mobile app. So since 2021, we had launched our eCosova portal, and the number of services, as I mentioned, is increasing. But launching a mobile app is very important because I believe it is the case with many other countries as well, but the biggest number of users, I would say vast majority of people accessing internet goes through the mobile devices. So having a mobile app, both on iOS and Android platforms, was important for us, because this way we are increasing the access of all categories of our population to digital services. Another, I would say, specific development related to our tax administration. We have traditionally had these hardware fiscal printers, which were costly both to acquire and to maintain. And we are happy that at the end of last year, we launched the software-based fiscalization, which will save costs both for businesses and for the government, but at the same time make the whole process much more transparent, efficient, effective, and sustainable. Again, as we have reported during the assessment, we have started a number of other reforms to really strengthen all of these pillars and building blocks of digital governance, including interoperability, which we have since 2018, but now we're already thinking about the next stage, and then eCosova 2.0, thinking more about, I would say, better performance, better functionalities, better user experience, and better security. And also thinking about some technical enablers like transitioning to cloud, which we have already started doing some steps in that direction. But here I would like to mention this very important component, which I think Sim pointed out to as well, and that's the people component. And that's something which we realize is that the area we need to focus a lot, and that's why we already have redesigned the new structure of our central agency dealing with digital governance, which is the Agency of Information Society. We are tripling the headcount there, creating new divisions, including the ones dealing with areas like data governance, emerging technologies, artificial intelligence, and many other things which were not covered, I would say, properly in the current structure of our AIS as a key institution. And at the same time, not only important to have a head count of people, but important to have skilled people. So we've been spending quite some time to create this comprehensive, I would say, capacity building framework, which now is ready and will serve as basis for us to really invest on the necessary capacities to push forward these reforms that we are working on.
Thanks for this overview, and obviously love the great people emphasis. If we now hop to Montenegro, Vanya, what's been happening there?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to participate in webinar Digital Government in the Western Balkans, opportunities and challenges. So regarding to the digital transformation, Montenegro has made a significant progress in implementing digital transformation. In previous period, we work on the implementation of various systems. A lot of work was done on improving infrastructure capacities and information security in order to be able to discuss to this topic today on digitalization at all. We are aware that it is necessary to lay a good basis in the form of shared system, key systems. In this regard, Ministry of Public Administration Montenegro initiated and improved numbers of activities in order to contribute to having the e-services of the high level sophistication. So in 2024, we established a new e-government portal, e-uprava.gov.me. Also, we established a new system for data exchange. Also, we established IBM BPM platform for creating and processing electronic services. Also, electronic payment system for administrations, fees and charges, and electronic system for electronic identification. All this system integrated with the new e-government portal. So all through the public administration in Montenegro start long ago in the process of more recently the process of transformation of services according to the concept called human-oriented service. Looking at the current situation, we have, of course, some challenges that may affect the whole process of digitalization. So we have some, I will say, horizontal challenges that, like in previous period of time, frequently organizational changes in government of Montenegro that slowed down the whole process. Lack of IT staff in the institution, sometimes normative barriers in field to digitize the whole process and etc. In order to change this situation, to increase the number of the successful project in the future, we set a new approach. One of that is, of course, the digital transformation strategy, with the focus on strengthening institutional and technical capacities, improving the digital skills through our digital platform we established a few years ago, developing infrastructure and strengthening IT sectors with emphasis on sustainability, inclusiveness in provision of the public sector.
All right. So I will ask you more about the new strategy in just a short while. But Miroslav, what's new in North Macedonia?
Hello and thank you. First of all, thanks to Sigma and eGovernment benchmark team for their comprehensive assessment. Sometimes something might sometimes escape their attention, but the exercise is more than valuable for us. First, in terms of knowledge sharing, where we are and where we need to go, and second, and knowledge sharing and I expressed myself badly. First, in terms of knowledge sharing, and second, in terms of where we are and where we need to go. I believe in the past year we've made solid progress in strengthening digital governance in general in our country. And there are some visible indicators for that. We have increased the number of registered users from 130,000 to 165,000, which is approximately 13-14% of the active population aged from 18 to 65 or 70 years. We have doubled the applications to the portal from 2,000 to approximately 5,000 in a month. This reflects both the promotion of e-services and the development of additional services from other sides. So we have added approximately 50 electronic services since the Sigma assessment and approximately 100 services in 1 year, and upgraded the portal to meet accessibility standards in line with WCAG guidelines, ensuring more inclusive experience for all users. Also, we have upgraded the interoperability platform, significantly enhancing its capabilities and potential. Now the new version of the platform supports nodes. This enables more institutions to be connected to one communication client. And on the other hand, we have removed the need for bespoke licenses. Both these actions resulted in decreasing the amount that is needed for adding new institutions and increasing the number of transactions. If previously we needed approximately 100,000 euros to connect 4 or 5 institutions, now we are doing the same with approximately no more than 15,000 euros, which is 7 times less than before. On the legal side, we have advanced several legal solutions, I would say. The law on electronic documents, electronic identity and trust services, the law on accessibility of public sector institutions and applications, law on electronic communication, and the law on archives. This is all part of our growth agenda, and all these laws, except the one for accessibility, should be adopted by June. This is the deadline for adoption. However, even though it is not part of the growth agenda, we want to adopt also the law on accessibility of public sector websites and applications. This, together with the further development of document management system that is managed by our ministry, is a step towards, I would say, zero policy paper in the public administration and increased transparency, and important step towards decreasing the corruption risk in the operation of the public administration. In the area of cybersecurity, we have adopted a national strategy, and also we are preparing legislation that is fully aligned with NIS2 directive. This will be the first time in our country to set up a legal framework for cybersecurity, and I expect significant improvements to be done in the following year. And in addition, we have published for public consultation the national ICT strategy, which is fully in line with the digital decade policy program, and it is based on the same four pillars that are defined there. And this strategy is expected to be adopted in June. One for us of the most important steps forward is recently signed grant agreement under the Digital Europe program, and through which we expect to start working on the national electronic wallet. The pilot phase that is funded under the program will enable storage of 2 electronic versions of the personal documents in the wallet and access to several important electronic services. In the later stage, it will be connected to the interoperability platform. It will be connected also to the national portal for electronic services, to the e-health system, Moj Termin, which is a system that is in place for a long time now and allows complete electronic information to the users for the health records, including electronic prescription and all of this stuff. It will also be connected to the educational student information system, namely EdDiary, in English would be, and other elements and registers. We are trying to make some progress on life-based services. For example, employment-related procedures are already fully digitalized. Some of the life event services and processes are fully digitalized, and especially in terms of business activities, I believe that we are doing pretty fine there, but we are lacking some of the basic things that were supposed to be a long time ago, like the newborn. Newborn is still a process that takes 3 to 4 months since the birth of the baby till the financial assistance that is provided by the government. We started working on this. Unfortunately, USAID stopped their operations, so we will have to start all over again, although we have analyzed all the aspects that should be done in technical matter, and we were supposed to start in the to analyze the legal aspects and all the legal laws and bylaws that were supposed to be changed to enable full environment for implementation of fully digital procedure that will cover the birth of the baby, the entering into the registers of the health information system, and the financial assistance that is provided by the government. And this was supposed to be done during the mother is still in the hospital, that is under 3 days. The biggest challenge, remaining challenge beyond the technical challenges that we have, is about the implementation across the government. We need stronger coordination. We need more human and financial resources, and we need commitment at all levels, local level, governmental level, to fully transform how the process of how government operates. It is difficult because sometimes various organizations are not very familiar with the existing infrastructure and the legislation, but have good ideas and they want to implement them with donor support or whatever, which often results in duplication of efforts instead of, as Jose explained, reuse of what we already have there. Good example is reuse of the DMS system. The bad example is that it is implemented in 22 institutions. It is good, but it is not implemented in another country, which is 100, which is bad. We are a small country with limited resources. We need to work smart because what differs from us and Germany, for instance, is the amount of data, but the solutions that need to be developed, the legal background that needs to be developed, the institutional setup that has to be there is the same for us, for Germany, or for China. So we have to work 10 times smarter to be as efficient as them.
I think that's a very nice way of putting it. It's also a bit of a rallying cry, right? You constantly think about how to be smarter like that and work smarter like that. Thank you, Miroslav. Before we virtually go to Serbia, I just want to put a placeholder here for the participants. After this round, I'll open the floor with just a few limited questions to fit in the time, and then we do one more round looking into the future with all the participants. But your questions, be ready with them in just a bit. But yes, going to Serbia now. Tara, what has been new there? What are the latest updates and achievements?
Thank you. First of all, I would really like to thank you to Sigma, especially to Jose, Egle, and Nick, and Sim, of course, for helping us in our process of the reform in Serbia. You give us a great push and so big help for in our achievements. So this is something what I wanted to tell. Again, thank you for helping us. Regarding the service delivery and digitalization, as you all know, we need to think. We need to think about service delivery and digitalization like one big goal. And regarding the service delivery, until now, Serbia has like a 2.5 million e-citizen at eGovernment portal, and this is the big number until now, also using the e-services. 95% user satisfaction with the services of the eGovernment portal. That's the big percentage. Now we have 340 services realized on the national portal of eGovernment, like 83% availability of services on the portal. We optimized administrative procedures, and we are planning to continue on that. Until now, we have 23 institutions implemented quality management tools. And until now, we have opened 65 one-stop shops in Serbia. And I would also like to mention the Serbian Korean Information Access Center, which is the part of the Ministry of Public Administrations, which helps citizens to be digitally ready. Like until now, we helped like the more than 100,000 people with the more than 5,000 free of charge trainings for the citizen. So this is something what I would like to mention regarding the service delivery. And regarding the e-government, number of registers and other software solutions maintained in the state data centers for data management and storing increased threefold in the 2024. Target was 105, and we achieved valued like 330. So improving security, availability, and integrity of data in the state system. Also, the number of services realized at the eGovernment portal. Target was 2009. The target was 209 services, and we achieved 340 services. Also, the percentage of users positively rating the user experience of services at the eGovernment portal with a high user satisfaction level. Target value was 30% of user positively rating, and we had, like I said, mentioned, 95%. I would also like to mention the health institution. That is something what the Office for IT is working on. Like the percentage of the health institutions connected to the unified information and communication e-government network has been growing. Office successfully launched the project of linkage and migration of the local health system and lab systems to the state data center in Kragujevac. The plan advised that 2.5% of health institutions would be connected to the network. Instead, we have connected like 8.6% of them. So far, the 30 health institutions have been connected to the new e-health network. And this is something what we achieved. I mean, just a part of the achieved services and successful stories in Serbia. If I may also say that after the assessment, Sigma assessment, we started a revision of the e-government law, because we have obligation to the European Union that we need to be in line with the directive of the reuse of data. So in this moment, we are in the position that we are combining and collecting the opinion of the ministries, and I hope in the very soon period the revised law will be on the table in the government, and then as soon as possible on the assembly. So I tried to be as short as I could, because Sim told us that we have only 3 to 4 minutes per question. So I hope that I
appreciate that. And look, I mean, I appreciate you took the challenge of summing it all up, the many things that have been happening like that. But I promised a few questions as an interlude. Nick, I might need to ask your help with this, just because I can see possible hands and questions and not me. So if there are any from the virtual audience, please just lift your hands or put them in chat. And I will ask Nick to steer in that.
a hand from Romina, so then I would just allocate the microphone. So please, Romina.
I know I'm not the audience, but since I was listening to Dara's presentation, I just had a few questions for her, if I may.
Please do. I think this interpollution is the best thing that can happen. Cross-pollination. Please.
So thank you. So Dara, you mentioned that you are providing 340 services online. I know you also mentioned the percentage, but I wasn't able to understand. So what is the percentage of the total number of services that the Serbian government is providing to the citizens and businesses? And so what's the percentage of them being offered online? And for these services that you mentioned that are provided in your national portal, are all the processes digitalized, or is there any phase when the citizens have to go probably to one of the offices and do another procedure, or is it just electronic? And the last question is regarding the associated documents. Do citizens need to upload them electronically and collect them themselves, or is it the public administration collecting these documents on behalf of the citizens, or the state issued ones? Thank you.
So we have, until now, we have like 340 services realized on the eGovernment portal. And all of them are electronically provided. So I hope that what was the another question?
What is the percentage of the total number of services that are provided? Like, for example, in Albania, we provide 1,240 services, which is 95% of all the services that the government is providing. These 5% are still offline.
It is 83% of the availability of e-services regarding the EU benchmark. So until now, that is the results. Like 340 services online, which really is like 83% availability on e-services on the portal.
Yes, and everything is digital, so they don't need to go to the offices.
No.
And the associated documents, are they uploading them, or is it the state gathering those documents? Like, for example, when you apply for a service, you might need to also hand over some other documents to support your application.
It depends on service. I mean, information that I have that you can upload them all. So, but give me some time, maybe some time to check, to give you like the full clear information about each service. For those 340, they are totally electronic.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Again, kudos on the inter-panel discussion as well, so others can follow suit. But Nick, if you see any other hands? You're on mute, Nick.
Yes, I was just saying for the moment, no. I also asked Jose to have a look with me, but I don't see any immediate hands.
If they pop up, we can, I think, sort of have them come in as well. But look, for the sort of second round, and again, given our time, I will have to combine this with the last round. Perhaps, I mean, you all, in fact, already spoke about things that you are up to next as well, because many of them continue from what you have started, as you highlighted, and so forth. But perhaps I can still ask you, again, sort of one by one, to dive a bit more in a sense of what are the next priorities, really, if you look into the next year or two. And starting again from Romina, from your end, I mean, you already highlighted the local governments, for example, right? I mean, as a next emphasis, but what else fits your plate for the next years, and what are you trying to achieve?
Yes, thank you, Sim. Yes, of course, that is and will be one of our flagship projects for the next few years. But apart from that, we are also moving with the further automation and personalization, and also intelligence decision making in the government, integrating also AI across various fields. I would start again with Diela, our virtual assistant, which will soon have another upgrade, and this time it will also be able to fill out online applications on behalf of the citizens via voice interaction. Another project that we are working on, also as the colleagues of North Macedonia mentioned, is the digital wallet, also aligned with the EU EIDA standards. This will allow citizens to carry and share their personal documents, such as the ID, the licenses, the diplomas, and birth certificates, securely from their phone, and having full control on what they are sharing, when, and with whom. We are starting first with 22 services that we have committed to first implement, also as part of the growth plan for the Western Balkans. And then along with the standards for the digital wallet that will be finalized also by the European Commission, and also what other types of services are being added around Europe, we will also enrich our digital wallet with more services. We will also be integrating AI into the public procurement process as part of the additional financing for the GovTech program that I mentioned earlier. So along with municipalities, there will also be a financing process for the new electronic public procurement platform, which will be redesigned, improved, and it will have AI integrated in almost all of the public procurement processes, starting from the drafting of the terms of reference, the criteria for the companies, and also doing the pre-evaluation of offers. That will also support in a full transparent government. It will also ease the work on the government employees so that they can focus in more complex procedures. And of course, they will be the one to sign off the process. It will not be signed off by artificial intelligence, but the AI will provide a draft. And each of the changes that the public administration employee will do, they will be registered and logged in the system so that for auditing purposes in the future, everyone can see the changes that were made in the AI model decisions or draft decisions. We are also working in the tax and customs sectors for integrating AI to monitor transactions in real time, especially in fiscalization, which is a process that we have fully digital in the past few years. And also in terms of customs, we are after taxation, we will also integrate AI in customs to detect irregularities and see any suspicious financial moves in the companies. With the support of the European Commission through the operational programs, part of the IPA 3, we will be building also a digital radiology system to connect all the imaging devices around the country. What will be new about this system is that we will also have AI integrated to analyze scans, flag anomalies, and also support faster and more accurate diagnosis. Already mentioned the digitalization of local government services. So in short, we want to move from digital access to digital intelligence, ensuring that technology is not just simplifying the processes, but also anticipating needs and empowering users, and also building a government that is faster, smarter, and more trusted.
Thank you for that. But let's say that if I ask you this way, out of all of this, you personally, Romina, what's your biggest wish that would come true? So what do you want to see happen tomorrow?
I would say the full digitalization of the local government, because I know how much citizens want that to happen, because they are used to the standard of having services online for the central government. And also in terms of integrating the live events that we are working right now, citizens don't care if the service is provided from the central or from the local government. They just want to have their full live events electronic with no bureaucracy. So this is an integral part of all the changes and improvements that we are doing in the national government portal on the Albania. And it is very important to be part of that in order for us to provide the live events and also the proactive services.
Awesome. Good luck with all that.
Thank you.
But so Bosnia, or moving to Bosnia again. Look, again, you highlighted the same things, that many things are continuing in the pipeline, but anything else you want to add in terms of what's next, or what you perhaps have not started but will plan to? You are on mute.
Sorry again. Do you hear me now? Yep. If we would need to highlight just one thing, I think it would be the implementation of national digital wallet, with what we are doing in a close partnership with partners from European delegation or European Commission. This will be a key enabler for secure and user-friendly services and access to wide range of public service. But we are doing this. We finished the first phase, and with the help also with the Sigma partners and European delegation, we will continue the second phase. And I think we will have the plan is to have at the end of the year some results in that area. This is a huge step, and the good thing is that we engaged in some regional projects, and we are also part of WeBuild consortium as associate partner, and it will start in September. As you already know, that even in the EU, the situation is not quite clear about where the digital wallet will be in the future, but this is something that comes from ADAS or ADAS 2, whatever. So this is an obligation for the EU in the next 2 years, and we are trying to be also in this process as much as possible, and to provide, as you mentioned in your introductory remark, more pilots, more concrete steps, small steps. So this, we think, that will be a concrete and small step in order for enabling other services to the citizens. What we also as a country need to enforce better alignment or complete alignment with EU regulation like ADAS, which is still not in place. And also we got this data protection law adopted at the beginning of this year, aligned with GDPR, and this is also this will be a process for many stakeholders in a way to aligning to new rules and new procedures and processes. So this is something that, and we as an agency, since as I already said at the beginning, we are forcing and pushing other institutions not to use and to search, ask for data from citizens, so they can get the data, many of data they can get from us in order to enable certain services for citizens. For example, e-baby or e-kindergarten or construction permits, etc. So many data are asked from citizens, and we are making a huge progress there, and many services are now enabled, and the process of getting services for citizens are the process is quite shortened. So this is something that we are pushing in order to G2G, government to government services, to be more developed, and in the final to have citizens more happy about the time. And also what is relevant for our country is, as I said, mentioned at the beginning, more aligning, more interoperable services throughout the country, since we have many administrative levels, but we have a huge progress there, and many few administrative levels are developing portals, as we did the open data portals, and we are also this is a huge thing that we enabled in the past few months, SSO portal, so in a way that credentials, so citizens will be able to use our own services for applying to many services, like how to say, using our credentials for that. So it will be a convenient and more flexible way of applying and to different online services.
All right. I think, look, I mean, as you said, I mean, in many ways, interoperability is for you even a bigger challenge given your specific context for that matter, right? So I think exactly in many ways, you're look, you are inspiration to others. If you can make it work, anyone can. All right. But Lulasan, you very nicely actually outlined pretty much the whole strategy next, right? I mean, all the way from interoperability focus, Gov Cloud, all the way to people in a way. Is there anything else looking forward on your plate you didn't get to cover? Or let's say if these things are done, what's next?
Yes, indeed. There are a lot of things which we have started, but we have a lot of things to finish. And one of the things which is quite imminent, and we believe we will be launching quite soon, is the national EID system. This is something we've been working for quite a while. And we have passed the technical readiness of the system. Now we are in the final exercise of operational readiness. And the new system will provide strong authentication, electronic signature, electronic seal, as well as digital wallet. And this is already eIDAS 2 compliant. So I believe we will have, I would say we will be making, I would say, a leapfrog in this area once we have this system in place, which will not only open doors for end-to-end digitalization of many other services, but also will help us more further in the cross-border cooperation and provision of services across the borders. Next, some important development is that the World Bank financing that we've been working on for quite a while has become effective at the end of last year, actually December last year. And now we have already started some activities which were planned. A lot of reforms will be covered through this funding. And one of the key areas is, of course, to continue with this life event approach. After the childbirth, which we already addressed, and I mentioned it a bit earlier, we will be covering life events like death of a relative, starting a business, and changing the address, and then continue with other life events as well. Now, although our main aim is to push the front-end digital channel as the primary channel, we are aware that there will always be citizens which cannot use the channel on their own. And that's where the principle of inclusivity comes in. And we have worked quite a lot in designing our concept of these integrated service centers. And now with the World Bank funding, we are starting the implementation of the first integrated service center here in Pristina. And then again, we've done a lot of preparatory work towards this whole of government ecosystem. So we have some shared systems already historically, but we want to build this into an ecosystem. So connecting these key systems for financial management, human resource management, assets management, document management, project management into, I would say, a government resource planning style of a system where we will be able to more effectively and efficiently manage our internal processes and at the same time generate, I would say, data and insights for policy making. And this goes into this broader topic of whole of government enterprise architecture. Again, this is something which is not one of those sexy topics which you see direct benefits from, but this is one of those I would say, important investments which will bring long-term benefits in terms of efficiency and effectivity and sustainability of our digital transformation journey. And last but not least, you already mentioned AI is here. And in parallel to this work, we are doing, I would say, in systematically improving our data governance and preparing the data catalogs. We have to be agile and work on the use cases. We have already identified some of them we want to, focus on, and like the one related to AI chatbots, assistants. But also for the purpose of, I would say, risk-based assessments, especially in the areas like tax audit.
Right. I think, look, in many ways, you're right to say that, look, you can start laying the basis, but there are some low-hanging fruits in the use cases already. Mm-hmm. All right. Jumping forward again to Vanya. So you also highlighted exactly how the portals and everything will be still the priority, but anything else on the plate for the next year or few?
Yes, actually, the European Commission approved the reform agenda of Montenegro 2024-2027, which is significantly accelerate and improves the process of digital transformation in Montenegro by encouraging overall social and economic development. The key activity planned by this document is the planning of the full implementation of transactional public electronic services at the national and local level for 2025-2027. So the government of Montenegro adopted this plan of digital services for this period of time. So we have proposals, a total 171 services, which will be potentially digitalized in next 2 years by 21 institutions and 6 pilot municipalities. According this plan, in this year we have to digitalize 57 e-services, which we already digitalized 25, and they can find citizen can find on our new eGovernment portal. In 2026, we have a plan to digital 70 e-services, and the end of this plan, we have to digitalize 35 services. I want to mention something that this is services in jurisdiction of Ministry of Public Administration, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Diaspora, and etc. So we have other platforms in Montenegro, of course, in jurisdictions of the Ministry of Education, where citizens can apply for kindergarten, for primary school, for university. The students can apply for loan, for contractors. The contract can sign by online and etc. We have also e-health platform and the tax administration services in jurisdiction of the tax administration. So the essence of the services offered by the public administration is to be usable and easy for citizens, can apply on easy way. So we have, as I mentioned already, we have a lot of shared systems they are all integrated with our e-government portal. So when citizens feel the benefit, Buena Bait once said when citizen start to use and feel the benefit of it, it's actually it's a digital transformation.
That's a very lovely way of putting it, indeed. Thank you for that. Going back to North Macedonia once more, Miroslav, anything else in terms of next year's you want to highlight besides what you already covered?
Yeah, looking ahead, our ICT strategy practically covers the next 1 to 3 year, 2.5 year period. And similar to the others, we will focus on developing the European digital identity compatible wallet. As mentioned earlier, the pilot phase starts in June, but this is only the beginning. Over time, we plan for interoperability and a wide range of services accessible to the citizens. We will identify and prioritize 100 to 150 key public services that matter most to the citizens and businesses, because in the previous period, we developed whatever we could develop. There are more than 300 services already available on the portal, but some of the basic services, as I said, are not there. This is why we need to work on identification of the most important services, their interconnection in terms to comply with the live events that are there and business events for the businesses as well. This should be the center of our transformation. We will work on development of tools that will improve the delivery of services and that are necessary for electronic delivery of services, such as e-authorization, which is important for businesses because currently the services that are provided through the portal could be applied for only by the owner or the manager of the company, not of someone who is authorized to access the services. This is why we need this register that will be connected to the portal and development of these services on this service on the portal. And the other aspect is e-box, electronic box, electronic mail, because currently we cannot know when the citizens and if the citizen opened the solution or decision, the document that was sent to him on the portal. So we cannot calculate the period for appeals that they should have on that decision or whatever document that is. We also plan to work on development of the backend system and integration on the portal and all these aspects and several more important similar tools that I have already mentioned. On the other aspects, we plan to intensify the work on the artificial intelligence and integrate this in the portal for electronic services in way that it will support the citizens in fulfilling the data that they need to fulfill, to adjust their experience from through analyzing the habits that they have shown in the previous period, and to support probably something like chatbot, but we will see about that. This third component is not the priority. We also plan to integrate AI in the open data portal or to support AI solution that will use the open data portal data that is there. We plan to upgrade the MOI termin health electronic system and electronic education system to upgrade it to be more practical and to be more connected with the other existing systems. And there are separate, of course, interventions like in the Public Revenue Office, which is one of the most important institutions in the country. We plan to consolidate all the systems that they have there. They have, I think, 3 systems which partially do not communicate among themselves. So we plan to consolidate these important institutions to connect them to the interoperability completely, to connect them and link their services on the portal, and to develop e-invoice system, e-fiscalization, and other important aspects that are currently absent in the sector. Briefly, this would be our plans, but all the details are in the strategy, which also covers the improvement of digital skills, improvement of connectivity, and improvement of business and supporting the business transformation of businesses in a digital way.
Indeed, and well, good luck with all of the strategy. Tara, finally to you, and sorry to be a bit over time here, but exactly, you neatly summarized up the latest from Serbia. If you still have a chance to share what's for the next term for you, what's the next excellence levels for Serbia?
Yeah, so we will continue developing more e-services for sure. But as you all know, for all services and all platforms, we need to have like a strong legal framework. So as I mentioned before, we revised the e-government law, which is the basic, which is the I will not say the most important, but basic law for all other laws. So we are introducing in the law also the smart city concept, which will provide the building the platform for the all relevant sides that wants to build some applications and softwares regarding the smart cities. Also, we are planning to revise 3 bylaws regarding the law in government. One of them is the bylaw regarding the portal of open data, which is also, I'm mentioning the basics also for the, not only for the open data, but also for the AI, for the EOT, for the smart cities, etc. Because we need to align with directive of EU. reuse of data. And we are emphasizing that bylaw dealing actually with high value data sets, which are very important now in the EU digital strategy. Also, we are planning to revise the bylaw regarding the web presentations of the public administration. We need to be more transparent and more focused on the citizen. Also, because the national interoperability framework is not the part of the legal framework, we are planning to implement the national interoperability framework into the bylaw regarding the meta register. And maybe I should mention that we started with a new action plan for the strategy for public administration for the period until the 2030. Also, we started with a new strategy for the eGovernment, also with the action plan until the 2030s. So in the next period, we have lots of work to do in Serbia. Yeah. I will not go deeper in the activities that we are planning to do in the strategy of public administration and strategy for the e-government, because that will last much longer than this.
Well, thank you for that. And look, I think you're right to say you all have lots to do. So I think from my side as well, good luck, honestly, with all of that. Especially going back to what I was said in my small intervention before, that plans are only as good as they are delivered. So I really wish you the best in the delivery and building up, like I said, the capacity and the teams for that, really. But thanks from my end. Nick, I have to hand over to you.
Thanks, Sim, for the skillful management of the panel, and huge thanks, dear colleagues, panel members, for your contributions and sharing so well in such a rich way and also very openly the plans, also hinting to indeed some of the shortcomings that were also highlighted before, but really great to see like all the work that is on the table, yes, in terms of plans, but also in the firm commitment of making it happen. I will not take much more of the time now, and I'm sure that we could continue for way longer. Just want to reiterate that from our side, we are and grateful, but also really happy to support in all the work in the past, but also in the future. So Sigma stands ready to team up in helping you for all your future challenges in this big area of work. In that, we are not alone. Also, the good colleagues and friends from RESPA are there to support you and us in this endeavors, and we're always really grateful that we can join the efforts and the work, and that we are not running things in parallel in your countries in this. So we're also really happy to have Bojana here with us, to also from the side of RESPA shed some light on the work that RESPA is doing, but maybe also Bojana to draw some insights, maybe some even lessons from the things that you've heard. So with any further ado, I would kindly pass the stage, the microphone, the screen to you, Bojana.
Thanks a lot, and once more, good afternoon and good day to all of you. It is really great pleasure to be with you today to speak about the digital governance and the digitalization, digital transformation is in the region. I think it is not so easy story. We have to do a lot. I'm talking on behalf of RESPA. I'm in the RESPA in charge of digitalization and innovation. And I have a long experience in the previous period of life. I'm familiar with many of you with SIM since I was an employee of Ministry of Public Administration and cooperate with all colleagues from Montenegro and from the other institutions in the region. responsible for digital transformation, and I am very, very aware what is the situation in the region now. We are from RESPA following the activities. We are very patient in the area of digital transformation because RESPA is, for the audience who is not familiar with RESPA, we are the Regional School of Public Administration established 15 years ago to support public administration reform and foster regional cooperation across the Western Balkans. We are a regional center of excellence. We work to strengthen institutions, to improve governments, and bring public services closer to the needs of citizens, what Vanya mentioned. I think that the most focus of all our works and efforts should be the citizens, and we are working for them. If they are satisfied, we are succeed in our activities. Several areas are in the RESPA portfolio, but one of them is the digital transformation, public service delivery, and it includes digital transformation, public services, where we jointly build capacities around the government, digital skills, trust services, interoperability, open data, cybersecurity, and artificial intelligence. We also focus on human resource management and development. That seems to be mentioned several times. The digital skills are very important, but also leadership skills in the area of digital transformation. And we are trying to work on this area to promote merit-based recruitment, leadership development, and ethical standards in public administration. Ethical standards becomes a challenge because we are really living in the era of artificial intelligence. The AI is here. And during the day, I heard from colleagues, all of them reflected to the AI and the administration. And I'm so happy regarding this because we are moving forward. The quality of public services and citizen-centered approach in mind, it is in the heart of all our efforts. And through regional exchanges and regional cooperation with Western Balkans administrations, we established the thematic group for digital transformation and innovation. We close cooperate with representatives from this administration, but also have a bilateral communication with our colleagues and try to support them in many different areas. I mentioned which area are those, but I want to say that we can support and we are supporting in previous 15 years administration in the policy development, in the development of some services, in the visiting some interesting conferences, summits, and visiting and bilateral cooperation with the institutions in the region and also the EU who are relevant for their topic of work. And I really agree with Sim and with all of you that the main concern of our works, all of us, has to be that people are in the center. They drive innovation. They put them in the focus. With innovation, we will have fully electronically designed public services, and we will promote the society that we will not talk about more about one-stop shop. We will talk about no-stop shop. Our citizens will receive information about their services, their needs to do, and they will just approve the data that's already provided by the government institution. They will not be in position to apply for something, to provide some data that already exists in our databases. I think we have to have a focus when we are talking and when we are working in the area of digital transformation. The second main activity and main focus is modern leadership. We have to think not only about one person, we have to think about collective leadership and to see what is coming to us in the future. We have a more quick intervention in many different situations. We have to work as a teams and create partnership with between public and private. I think it is crucial for the future period of time. The innovation also, they are here, but we have to think about some innovation lab. We recognize that in RESPA, and some kind of regulatory sandbox and some kind of regulatory safe space has to be established in the administration, but also in the RESPA to support public administration to test, to try to create some new service. In our daily work, we are following also the different surveys. We are following the results based on some UN eGovernment survey, DEST index, Sigma report, innovation surveys, etc. And it is visible, and all of you mentioned that several times today. The situation in the region is that Serbia and Albania lead the region in terms of economic development. It is visible through the, for example, UN government index. Serbia is on 35th position, and globally is based on that survey. They're first in the region. Albania is the next. But we also have the other administration, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and especially Kosovo, who work a lot. And I am really happy today that I heard a lot of good activities that administration are working on. And I think there are a lot of things to be done. But if we work every day and if we decide that digital will be first, the services will be digital by default, I'm sure that we will achieve the main goals that we recognize. But we see the progress in the region, but despite this progress, challenges remain. Many administrations face limited institutional capacities, fragmented ICT infrastructure. So there are a lot of silos in the administration, and the information system maybe that don't communicate on the right way with each other. There is also inconsistent funding for digital projects. Cybersecurity frameworks are still being developed and require alignment with EU norms. Some countries like Montenegro, like North Macedonia, they adopted a law on cyber information security, but still we have to implement those laws and to increase cybersecurity. And in this area, RESPA can support through the different instruments of support. And for example, last week we organized here training for trainers. And we had a great, in cyber hygiene, and we had a great representatives from the administration, and we are sure that we can work in that area to create a pool of trainers who can support in the process of better cyber safety. There are common challenges. There is a very access of technology, uneven digital connectivity, low digital literacy on all levels. We have to have in mind that we need to create competency framework. Some countries have. I think Albania has the competency framework, digital competency framework, but we have to think what is the minimum digital knowledge that public servants has to have, because we have to create some maybe curricula for public servants, not only for digital skills, for other part of the activities, but also ethical use of artificial intelligence, because some kind of competencies for AI are needed as soon as possible, and I think very soon, because we have to be more concrete in this area. Regarding today's event, and I will once more say that I am so happy and privileged that I am invited to be here after 34 years in the area of digital transformation, but it is for me really great opportunity to talk today with you, to listen to the leaders from the EU and region about this topic. And it is very interesting to see what is firstly the document that Nick shared with us, and also Jose through the presentation, Jose and colleagues from CAP Germany presenting the findings from 2024 are, I think, a good roadmap in which direction we have to go. because there is a very, very comprehensive analysis of what is the situation in the region, how some administration did a lot, which are administration are the leader, but I think it is not so hard to become on the similar position. Just have to have in mind what are our main activities and main needs for the future period. And also my question later for all panelists and all participants will be, what is for them the most challenge in the next period of time? From my point of view, it is the interoperability, because I think the data are foundation, and without the data, we cannot talk about digital transformation, fully online services. We cannot talk about artificial intelligence. I think it is very important to see their opinion, because in any case, when we talk about any part of activities related to digital transformation, we have to have in mind the data and how they can be safely exchanged between the institutions without any involvement of the citizens. Citizens just need not to go, just have to receive some message, some information from the government to it, and in this way to finish any needs they have with the public administration. It has to be, from my point of view, something that we have to focus and to think how to achieve it in the close future period of time. Through the same presentation and same inspiring speech, he is the right person. I think that he can recommend us how we can work and what we have to do in the region. And I really appreciate his support in our events that RESPA organized, and fully agree with also Sim's Sim notice sentences and notice what is the most important. We have to fix interoperability. We have to have in mind data-driven government, and to be aware that AI is here. Related to our colleagues from and leaders from the region, I'm very, very satisfied with their presentation and see the great impact and great development in the previous period of time. I'm here and RESPA also to support their future activities. We are already support some of them, and through all our instruments of support, I really invite the colleagues from region to contact me and RESPA, and to ask whenever they see that RESPA can help in their future development. We are here to support this through our new strategic orientation from 2025 to 2030. We recognize one of the priorities, digital transformation, and I will just briefly provide some information about those are the digital transformation governance, to reinforce the coordination of digital transformation, to work on digital leadership and leading institutions as well as political topic. We can support on many, many different areas this part of work, and really inviting you to send your proposal and to see in which area we can help. We will also support activities regarding trust policies and services. Trust services are the most important. All of colleagues mentioned today that they have in their plan activities related to implementation e-wallet. Also will implement a new system, and it is really something important in this area. Digital wallet is in the topic of priorities in EU, and in the Western Balkans do this parallel with EU activities. I think it is a great success. I'm an engineer, but I like to say, and I usually use opportunity to say, we have to think about digital ready policies. Any new law, any bylaw, anything what is done, it has to be done in the future period. Firstly, need to be digital ready, because we now have some problems with the policies in the region, because we are using the laws and sub-laws from the previous long-term previous period, but also we are using something what adopted not so far, but still is not fully digital ready. It is the part that will RESPA have focus in the future period. Data for knowledge-based economy, RESPA will continue to work in promoting use of data, interoperability, data portals, offering the data, but participation in open government partnership, digital skills, improve the digital skills, and close cooperate with school, public administration, ministry, institutions, government institutions responsible for digital transformation, as well as the academies in the RESPA members to support the competencies of the public servants. And what is the, I can say, new, we will work on, we will assist, work on innovation services, establish some kind of rapid innovation lab, regulatory innovation lab, and try to have through piloting. We now have that supporting our pilot, but we will start to create the new way of supporting and establish some kind of RESPA innovator. As a regional innovation lab, which will prioritize requests stemming also from the reform agenda and which are in relevance with governance and digitalization. And at the end, and the most important and the most, I think, something that we every day are listening about this, and all colleagues mentioned today that they have activities now and they will have activities in the future, emerging technologies. I think that we also have to be focused on this, and RESPA will throw its instruments of support this area. I'm inviting also, and I will conclude very soon, I'm inviting the colleagues to use the knowledge management platform. RESPA established some kind of knowledge hub created for public administration professionals across the Western Balkans. That can be public employees, but also the platform can be used by the experts, by the people who are interested in public administration reform. And the platform is visible on the web. Please feel free to use the platform and find there many interesting things like knowledge repository, peer-to-peer exchange, learning resources, some kind of trainings, information trainings, workshops, different kinds of expertise, success stories in the region and beyond, and you can network through that platform with the other colleagues. You can organize, participate in some community engagement, and such. My point of view is to continue to work on this way, to see what are the main challenges and what are the common recommendations for Western Balkans. And from my point of view, some few common recommendations are recognize digital as a key priority and fully implement the digital by default principle, ensure political support and put in place a clear strategy, strong policies, and targeted investment with the main goal to digital transformation society, enhance the legal and regulatory framework to support digital transformation, and adopt missing pieces of legislation. RESPA also can help support with engagement of some experts to support the administration to complete that part of work, and many other recommendations. But the most important are, as I mentioned before in the beginning, user in the center, modern leadership, and innovation safety.
Thank you so much, Kvala, to you, Bojana. I would immediately pass on to Jose to conclude, to draw some conclusions. And thank you all. So please, Jose.
Thank you all for having those who have stayed until the end. Sigma will give an extra point in the next assessment. Jokes aside, thanks for being here. I'm not going to summarize the sessions because Bojana You cannot hear me well now? Better. Oh, sorry, I had the microphone back. So, as I said, thanks a lot for all who be here. The repeated joke is not the same, but all of you will get an extra point in Sigma assessment. Nick, Sima, and myself will do that because you stay until the end. All jokes aside, we've seen a lot of progress. And I'm not gonna summarize the sessions because Bojana did very nicely. I'm just gonna finish with same sentence. We have to manage the change. Artificial intelligence is already here, but not only artificial intelligence. All other technologies are emerging around here, and this is our job. And it's a very, very tough job, but I think you are the right people to do it, to make it possible in the Western Balkans. Happy to help. Please reach to Sigma in any of the projects you have mentioned. And of course, also to RESPA. And that's all from my side. Let's keep the progress going on.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much once more, all colleagues, for participating. For sure, to all the colleagues, panel members, for actively contributing. As Jose rightly said, congrats for the work done. We can really see the progress made, despite still a lot of work to be done. But we can also see that where work is done, really results are showing and following. So happy to stand by your sides in doing so also for the future. As promised, we will provide you with the materials. Keep also an eye on our channels for, first of all, the report with all the details that is upcoming. And as I said in the very intro, if you would like to attend some of our following sessions, 6th of June, 20th of June, more than welcome as well. Tanya will open to conclude. She will open, I think, some short survey on your experience with this webinar. So if you can have a couple of seconds to fill in some quick questions, that would be great. And then see you next time on screen, but hopefully also soon live and in person in all your lovely countries. So thank you for now, dear colleagues. Have a good weekend ahead, and we'll be in touch for sure. Thank you so much. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Have a nice day. Bye.